Alright, what's going on guys? Thank you so much for clicking, thank you so much for subscribing and for all the support. Today we're going to talk about something extremely simple but yet not so easy, and that is why are you still small? Let's go. You're training most likely to get bigger, to be better looking, to be stronger, to maybe ease your pain. And there is that tiny little aspect, or maybe that huge aspect if you're more into bodybuilding, that is the cosmetic result. And that is to look big, strong, have some flow, symmetry, so on and so forth. For example, for like a classic physique, or you just want to be a freaking mass monster. And there is this little problem that you have, and we are going to talk about today, for natural only, why are you still small? And that is extremely simple as a fix. And I'm going to give you 5 tips for that. The first one is that you're doing too much volume and you're not focusing on what you should be focusing on, and that is the progressive overload. Yes, you're doing bodybuilding, yes, strength is secondary or even tertiary for you, but even if you're not a powerlifter, even if you're not a weightlifter or any kind of strength athlete, still at some point, even if volume is the hypertrophy driver, is the notch that you have to turn on in order to activate all the process that is needed for muscle building, there is too much volume, and it is extremely easy for most of us to go overboard with the volume and undergoing with the recovery. So what happens is that you're doing too much volume and you're not actually focusing on what matters, and that which matters is the progressive overload, meaning that each time you go back in the gym you are better, just slightly, but you are still better. And how do you translate that? It means more reps, and it needs more weight. If you do too much volume, you are not going to be able to progress ad vitam aeternam. Okay, even if you're not doing that much volume actually, but if you're doing too much volume, this overuse or this overreaching and then plateau is going to come extremely fast. That's why, and that your resources are basically limited, what you need to do is to focus on basic compound lifts that have been delivered result year in, year out, for decades, even centuries now, and to not get caught into weird exercise or weird practice. Okay, there is an extremely important thing to remind yourself, and that is regarding the volume. You should better be off doing the minimal amount as possible to get result rather than the maximal amount, because it will just work like a bell curve. You can do just a little and have good result. You can increase volume more and more, and it will increase the result with that, but at some point you will have some kind of cap. And even if you keep increasing the volume afterward, the result, what you get back from it, is not going to be as good as that. It might even be subpar or even hinder you into your training results, which you do not want. Okay, if you like to train, I do understand. If you want to live in the gym, I do understand. I'm kind of the same. But you're not training to train. You're training to get bigger. You're training to be some kind of bodybuilder, even if it's just recreational, okay? And that volume needs to be tailored, just like on the control panel, with other parameters such as the intensity and the frequency. If you are always chasing weight, this is going to be a problem, because you can degrade the form, you can degrade a lot of things. But if you're chasing the weight with the exact same form that you're doing normally on good exercise that have been proven basically by time, by methods, by street smart, by broad science, even real science, you do not need that much volume actually. And even if at first you may be thinking, okay, well, I am responding pretty well to high volume right now, so I'm going to keep going, I would say that it is a great idea, but at some point it will stop working. And at some point you will have to reevaluate your training, just because maybe a joint is aching or you cannot spend 2 hours every day in the gym, and so on and so forth. So please focus onto the progressive overload. The second thing is that, I kind of spoiled it really in the first point, and that is wrong exercise. Okay, and by wrong exercise I mean that you are going onto TikTok and Instagram and you're going to see some weird exercise, some weird practice, and they're going to tell you it is to target the inner upper part of this muscle because you're going to do this kind of weird anatomic movement, and it's going to work, and you're going to have a specific look. First thing first, you have to remember that most of the fitness industry is smoke and mirror, meaning that, for example, with bodybuilding, you pose and you diet and you do certain things to appear as best as you can, hiding your flaws and putting forward your strength. When you're on social media, you have to understand that most people you're seeing on the video, first, it's gym light, it's not natural light. Second, they are most likely not natural. And third point is that they are making content that is going to spark as much view and engagement as possible for them, not to give you necessarily the best information. Some out there, here for you, in the sense that they want to educate you, they want to be actually honest with you. You know, just in case, most of the time it's not the case. So instead of doing that weird ultra range of motion squat on the Smith machine, how about you just do normal Smith machine squat, and you are actually trying to do perfect form, no bouncing, no dive bomb, no caving in and out, no back rounding, no whatever, with 4 plates, 4 reps, instead of doing some kind of like deficit CC squat as a finishing exercise of your VMO, because you absolutely desperately need the VMO, except your legs are actually small as a whole, and you actually would need just to gain mass overall on your lower body. You see what I mean? Same thing for the like squeeze press for the chest. How about you just do weighted dips with 4 plates, 4 reps, or I don't know, incline dumbbell press or incline machine or whatever, to actually increase your chest mass instead of that tiny little area just right there, you know, which is of course not really targetable, and even if it was, the squeeze press is not even a good exercise for that. Another point that would be good for you is actually to invest in great books to learn about biomechanics and proper training programming with the science that goes with it, because yes, you do not need to rely on science too much, because you will have a study on 1 month that will say this is good, and there will be another study the next month that will say this is bad. So you'll be like, okay, how do I decide, right? Test it, or see what others did that is, again, a staple and the classics basically of training. The third point is that you're focusing on the wrong muscle. Okay, so how is that possible? What's wrong muscle? Have you heard about beach body? Beach body basically for men is training the chest, training the biceps, training the abs, maybe a little bit the quads, even if it's most of the time optional, and just be ready for the beach basically with a little 8 to 10% body fat, you know, just to be pretty lean, you know, and very defined, and that's it. But the problem is that these muscles are not the muscles that are going to complete and complement your physique, especially the bigger you get. It's not the kind of muscles that will be apparent when you are wearing clothes. You know, most of the time you'll be wearing clothes, you're not walking half naked, except if you live in a very hot country when it's always sunny and hot. Most of us, that's not the case. We'll have a t-shirt, we'll have long sleeves, or we'll have even a coat, or a pull, or a hoodie. You know, you'll not be in shorts, and even not in short shorts, you'll be in pants, in jeans. How do you showcase a great physique when you have clothes? The answer are not chest and biceps. The answer is the yoke muscle. The yoke muscle are the neck, they are the traps, especially the upper traps, they are the shoulder, they are the forearms, they are the calves, and they are the glutes. Okay, so if some of you recognize the list that Alex Leonidas from Alpha Destiny channel did into his ebook Naturally Enhanced that I have, well, you're spot on. These muscles are the ones that even if you're not necessarily the heaviest on the scale, they will make your physique pop out. They will immediately fill out your frame. And I'm not saying to only train them and not train the rest. I'm telling that a physique that is lacking in these muscles, if you Photoshop it and add this, you will immediately look bigger. So I've been myself guilty of that. I have been trying so hard to keep a classic physique, you know, with less upper traps, wider shoulder. I tried very hard to focus on my quads and not really on my posterior chain, even though my posterior chain was strong point. I was trying to not build too much back thickness. I was really focused onto the lats and the back width, which was also a strong point for me. And actually, my physique was nice on stage or on photo shoots, but the moment I would put something on, like clothes-wise, as one of my first trainees ever said to me, when he saw me bare chest in the gym, he said, "Oh, I didn't know you looked like that. When I was seeing you in clothes, I just thought, you know, he's doing a few push-ups and pull-ups." And I had been training for 3 years at the time, so all of this immediately changed the moment I just started to hammer extra hard my traps. I was already training my neck very early on, but like really being serious about it, and I never was a big fan of training my chest, so you know, just focusing on high incline and chest movement as accessories for my vertical pressing, better for me anyway, and training a bit less the quads to actually prehab my knees and also bring up my hamstrings that were extremely lackluster. You would think, oh, this physique is going to be destroyed, his line and symmetry is going to be destroyed. Well, actually, all of you here right now are telling me that I have one of the best top tier natty physique that you have ever seen. I've been also accused about using steroid quite a lot of time, and see, it worked out pretty well in the end. So, simply put, okay, as I said it is, work more onto your vertical pressing than your horizontal pressing. Work more onto your horizontal pulling than your vertical pulling, and work more onto your hip hinge, like the deadlift, than onto your squat variation, at least for a time, if all the muscles that I just quoted are being some kind of weak point for you. Okay? If they're not, you're all good. Just remember, a pound on your traps compared to a pound on your chest, for example, is going to look much more impressive. Keep that in mind. The fourth point I want to address is this quest for the 6-pack or the 8-pack that is, again, I think, caused by social media. Alright? We all want to be lean. Why do we want to be lean? Well, it looks attractive, it looks nice, it looks impressive. Girls seems to dig it. If you're shredded, the bros are going to compliment you. If you're doing videos on Instagram or TikTok or even pictures, it's going to look much better if you are extra lean rather than if you are maybe a little fluffy or just healthy body fat range, But the thing is that if you always stay lean, you getting bigger, you getting stronger is going to be extra difficult because you're not going to give your body what it needs to actually grow, to build tissue and even to recover from your training. That's why it's so hard for us when we are doing a fat loss cut. It's still going to hinder slightly your recovery, your sleep quality, how you feel overall, your mood, and all of that, weeks and weeks, months and months, can, at the end, maybe create a few plateaus that would have never been here if you have just had higher caloric intake, and also overuse in a few joints, knees, the shoulder, the elbow, all of that at some point when you're being too lean is taking extra stress most of the time, just because the leverage are getting so bad. So, how about, instead of trying to have a 8-pack with veins on it, like shreds and everything, how about you build mass first, and then you cut while staying pretty healthy in the body fat, and then at some point when you have a photo shoot or you want to post a very good physique picture evolution, then you do a proper fat loss cut, you drop below 10% body fat, you go at 8, even a little lower, 6 to 7, and at this moment you take your pictures and you're good with it. And because you have had all the mass, all the muscle, all the new tissue to fill out your frame, you will look extra impressive in the picture, especially with a pumpy to do the rebound and everything, rather than you being skinny, like 10 kilo lighter, but you have this 8-pack, okay? And it's just because of a pump in the angle and the filters and etc, that you're looking kinda nice. You have to remember, all these guys that you see on social media, most of them are probably not natural. Most of them are not in the same game than you. And most of them are literally being paid for that. Even if they're quite young, I've seen guys that are 20, 21, they have extra great shape. And most of the time they're advertising some stuff, it can be supplements, it can be clothes. Are you going to do the same? If you're going to do the same, okay, go for it. It's your life, it's your body, your choice, no problem. If you're not going to do it and you just want to have a great shape, do not play with the same rules that they are having for themselves. It's unhealthy and it's going to lead you nowhere, okay? I've been always the skinny, lean guy. So for me, being lean is not a problem at all. I just have to stop eating, poor appetite anyway, so it's no problem for me. It's the name of the game. And trust me, I look better now at a higher body fat that I'm technically used to be, with a reasonably good 6-pack, and each moment I need to be leaner. I just have to increase my NEAT level, maybe add a little cardio, train a bit harder, add some drop set, and I immediately get my 8-pack backs and my abs definition and a few veins, rather than staying at that definition and just sitting here waiting to have like some work, some stuff, with social media and everything. Keep that in mind, okay? All of this is relative, and you are most likely suffering from body dysmorphia. You're not as fat as you think you are, you're not a fatty compared to others, and you're not as small as you think compared to these guys. Most of them, if you ever cross path with them in like an expo or even in the street or in a gym, you'll see most of them that you're thinking are totally huge in those videos. Good lightning, pump, beach mirror muscle, that's it, and they are. Last and 5 point, and most of you I think already are guessing what it is, and that's everything I just said, where you have to apply them for years. It's going to be a long road. It's going to be a game of consistency and endurance rather than random motivation burst and ultra hard training intensity practice here and here. It's better for you to just train religiously, literally, weeks in, weeks out, 3 to 4 times a week. It's more than enough. Eat 90% of the time healthy than, having 3 months where you are just eating chicken, broccoli, rice, training 6 times a day, a week, double push-pull leg, 40 sets for every muscle, and then you're burnt out and you have to kind of half your training for a few months or a few weeks because you have tendinitis, you're burnt out, everything hurts, you're plateauing. It's a game of years. I've built this physique in 11 years. Most of it has been acquired in about 5 years. But that little something here and there that make it, really higher level than other naturals that have been training for 5 years or more are those 6 other years that I've been, okay, I need this, okay, I need that, okay, this is hurting, this is going to be a big fucking problem. I have to make sure this joint is going to be bulletproof, injury proof for the next part of my training, because I cannot afford to have this aching and so on and so forth, okay? And that 6 years of doing that allowed me to gain 1.5 inches on my arms since 2018. Same thing for my legs, keeping about the same waist size, filling out my chest, getting a 20 inches neck when I'm flexing. If you are genetically blessed, you will know immediately, because you can have basically what I have right now in about 3 years. If you're not, if you are average genetic, just like me, it will take you about a decade to have a really great physique. And if you have not a good genetic, it's not an excuse either. You're going to go in for the long run anyway, so might as well enjoy the journey and not being totally, you know, messed up by what you see online. Okay, it's just online, it's not even real. All right, keep cool, apply these things for you to get bigger, to not get injured. Eat good, train good, focus the basics, focus good form. Forget chest, forget biceps, forget the abs, okay? Be complete and be happy. Thank you for watching. Take care, bye-bye.